Hi, everybody. Welcome to Capital to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story, anywhere from the Triangle of North Carolina, which is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, all the way to the coast, where we have 9 chapters in the Wilmington area. If you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Between the two regions, there are 41 chapters. Each week we meet, and our goal is to help each other grow our businesses. And our local small business story success this week is Aimee Radic, owner of Aimee Sue Photography. Aimee is in the Carpex chapter. It's right on the Cary and Apex line. They combine the names. It's called Carpex. They meet Wednesdays at noon at the Keller Williams Legacy office in Apex, North Carolina. So if you're ever in the area around lunchtime at noon, want to meet some good professionals, I recommend and encourage you to come visit. Aimee, how are you today?
I am good. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you on the show. So, Aimee Sue Photography. I'm always interested in how businesses pick their names. So, how did we get to Aimee Sue Photography?
Sue is my middle name. It's my grandmother's name. I what I did was I'm big on research.
Mhm.
So big academic, big nerd. So I love to just kind of figure out the best tactic to reach as many people as possible. And I found that service providers that are sole proprietors, when naming a business after yourself, people find that comforting.
Ah,
And the kicker on top of that, the more vowels you have in your name, the assumption people will make is you're approachable and kind and sometimes even cute.
I
So
like
I
that.
was like, well, my first name really allows for that
Mhm.
type of mentality. So I decided to go with just my name.
I get the name of the company is your name. I totally understand that. I don't think anybody's ever said it to me that way. I get that, but the vowels I would have never guessed. So there's
Hmm.
actual research on that.
Yes,
Oh, that is too good. So Aimee, Aimee, is the actual spelling of your name.
it is.
Okay.
Yes,
So I'm assuming people have butchered the spelling of it or even didn't know how to say it at one time, right?
my whole life. Yeah.
You just kind of raise your hand when they start fumbling with the name, right? That's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your grandmother, your middle name is from your grandmother. Give me a good grandmother story.
Oh, well, so I was raised by all really strong women.
Mhm.
So, not to say like my dad obviously wasn't a
Mhm.
huge part of my life
Yep.
and a strong person, but my family's kind of interesting. So, my grandparents and even great grandparents, the breadwinner was always the woman, which is like unheard of
Mhm.
even in those times. So, my grandma Sue was the head nurse of the hospital. She
Oh,
was yeah, she was like total boss babe, like in charge of everything. She's super organized. I wish I was as organized as she is. She's really strong. She's my mom's mom, and she raised all three of her children to be very career driven, very success driven, and all three of them are. Uh, she was always an inspiration. I know I drive her crazy too. I know I'm the grandkid that does drive her crazy. And it probably drive her to most worry, honestly, too. But she, it drives her crazy that I run my own business because she's so like, you could have should have went to the medical
mm,
field. You could have a stable, like stable income, no mess,
yep.
and I decided to go the risky route, and she worries about me. She knows I'm a little bit of a workaholic like she is too, but
Yeah. Small business ownership is not for the faint of heart, is it?
no,
All right.
no.
So your previous jobs, which we're going to get into here in a little bit, former science teacher, former soccer coach. So we're going to get into that. What got you into photography, literally to begin with? Just in doing it for fun. What got you into that?
I played with cameras when I was a kid. I always stole my mom's film cameras and, like, wasted the whole thing. Used to drive her crazy. My mom's big into pictures, but not into big into photography.
Mhm.
She's big into memories.
Yep.
So, like, I've had a million scrapbooks. I'm the oldest too, so I have the most scrapbooks out of the 3 kiddos, but I kind of fell in love with scrapbooking through her, and I think that's kind of how the photography thing started. Um, I wanted to take better pictures than my mom, and that took a little bit more knowledge into equipment and
Mhm.
knowledge into just technical ability. So I took a few classes in high school for fun, but honestly, it was just for fun. I did it because I liked it.
And it through all your career, previous jobs, at what point in time did you start thinking about, either A, I'm ready for my own business, but more importantly, B, I think I'd like to make this photography passion a business?
It started out of necessity, believe it or not. We did it. I used to do it for fun through college and grad school.
Mhm.
And when we moved down to North Carolina 10 years ago, and we'll kind of get into this, but teaching, my husband was also a teacher at the time. We both had student debt. I had a master's degree
Mhm.
from a very expensive school. So, like, we were hurting and we
Mhm.
refused to live poor. We refused to live like we couldn't enjoy ourselves.
Mhm.
We were young, we worked hard. I was like, I'm not gonna not do anything. And so we decided to get other jobs so we could do things. So my first paid client was uh 11 years ago, and she loved the photos. And we took, my first few clients and we started putting money aside and we bought like an actual like big boy camera, like full sensor monster.
Yep.
And I started doing it on the side. I am not as much of a risk taker as my husband is. My husband is much more willing to like jump in and try things and be
Mhm.
like, we're fine. We work hard. Everything will be fine. I'm kind of the one that's like, but will
Mhm.
we? Like, so he wanted me to go full time with my business probably 5 or 6 years ago. I'm the one that held on and was like, no, no, no. So it helps. I have a crazy supportive husband who
Mhm.
wants me to do this. I jumped in full time about 3 years ago. And that's when the year I made as much money as I did teaching with
Mhm.
it being part time.
Yep.
That's when my husband finally sat me down and was like, you did it. Let's do this. Let's stop, like spreading it out. Let's see how much money you can make dedicating your whole entire time to it.
Yep. And I'm glad you guys acknowledge that because that's kind of the unofficial rule of thumb when you have a side hustle that you want to become your life hustle is, can I match the money?
Yeah.
And once you figure out, and let me guess that you worked a bunch those couple of years trying to build that up to the same amount of money.
Yeah. Yes.
Evenings and weekends, you guys saw each other an hour and a half over a whole weekend at times?
Oh, yeah, and he was coaching and I was coaching too at the same time, like,
Mhm.
it was like one of those things like, "I love you" in passing and stuff, but yeah, it definitely, it shows how strong our relationship is
Yeah.
too. We
Yep.
handled that with,
Yep.
very little. There were definitely some fights, but not anything, you know
So your first paid client that you talked about, all the work you did before this for family and friends was just for free?
I had a few people, like, throw me,
Yeah.
like I didn't charge them, they just gave me
Mhm.
some money. But yeah, my official like, okay, I'm gonna ask for I think I asked for
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah.
Like,
And you felt
maybe
guilty
not even
asking.
that much.
And you felt
Maybe
guilty.
not
Yeah.
even much.
But you felt guilty asking for the money, didn't you?
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel guilty to this day. It does not matter. Every time. Every time.
But you know the service you're providing and the memories you're providing is worth the money they pay you, right?
Yes. It's I have severe imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
and running a small business elevates that
Mhm.
imposter syndrome to a level I never fully uh, accepted or acknowledged could happen. So
Mhm.
I am better about it now than I was. If you would have talked to me 3 years ago, I was in a complete disarray. I was like a total and complete hot mess. But I am much better now about it.
Now, we've only been around each other a couple times, but you do not give off that impression that you don't know, you're an partial imposter, I'm a hot mess, I'm this, I'm that. You do not give off that impression. I just want you to know that.
That's good. That's excellent.
All right, so let's go back to day negative one of
Okay.
Amy Sue Photography going full time. Okay. You had quit your job, your teaching job, and you're
I
ready to
did.
go full time with the photography business, right? All right.
Yes.
So, what plans, first of all, with businesses, you always have to be funded correctly so you can know, all right, I'm not going to freak out if I don't get a job in the first month. But
Yeah.
what did you have in place to promote the business now that you were open for business?
So I had already done a lot of that groundwork. I worked heavily through word of mouth. I've, when I was part time, I had built my website up. I have a strong social media presence. My Google profile is really strong. And I worked really hard to get reviews on my Google page as well. So I feel like I did do the groundwork to kind of make going full time way easier than if I would have started from kind of a scratch situation. The biggest thing for me is when I work with teenagers, a lot of teenagers and their moms love to tell other moms and their teenagers who they worked with.
Yep.
So my word of mouth network was excellent, but I also did a lot of groundwork in networking. I did more niche networking back in the day, like wedding vendor open houses or, high school club meetings. And, because I was in the school system, I kind of got to cheat that because I knew when they were happening locally. But a lot of it was already done. I was very lucky it was already done. I would say if it wasn't done, the biggest thing for me would have been probably my SEO and my Google presence showing up organically in searches, um, and then word of mouth
Yep.
with
Well,
clients that I do hire.
and what I like that you did, and enough, not a lot, but enough small business owners are hesitant to lean into who they are, male, female, young, old, whatever it is. They're like, well, I don't want to be known as that person. And I tell them, yes, you do. But you won't be, that won't be your sole line of revenue is just from that, pond that you're fishing in. But so I am so glad you went back to the schools to know what you knew and capitalize on it. I thought that was an outstanding move.
Oh, yeah. I'm never gonna shy away. I never shy, and I am very transparent, and I kind of advertise that on my website and social media too. Like, and even right now, like I'm showing, I have no makeup on. Like, this is it's me as raw as it gets. I'm like that in front of my clients. I'm like that as organically as possible. So I want people to be able to feel comfortable and relate. But yeah,
Yep.
you have to put yourself out there. You have to. The worst thing you can hear is no, and that's okay. Just go somewhere else.
Well, and I think that helps you with your clients because most people are uncomfortable just getting their picture taken. And when they hear this from you, they see the body language and the smile like, you're going to be fine. I never liked this either, but here's how I get around it. Things like that just puts them at more at ease and makes their pictures better.
Mhm. It's supposed to be fun. It's
Yes.
supposed to
Yeah,
be
I know.
fun.
Yeah, but there's always that one person like, all right, how much longer do we have here and stuff like that. So here's another thing I've learned from photographers is most of the photographers I met have a very strong uh a very strong idea of whether or not they want to do weddings. And there's not many people I've met. They're like, well, if I get one, it's either I'm mostly all in or I'm mostly all out.
And yeah, I'm there. So I used to think I wanted to be a wedding photographer. That's what I thought I wanted to be.
Mhm.
And I love my weddings. And I say that like I had a wedding this past oh my gosh, Sunday.
Mhm.
Memorial Day weekend has me all messed up. And I got to know the couple over 2 year span. They've been with me for 2 years through this journey of planning sessions and seeing them, on their big day. I smile the whole time. I really do. I smile the whole time I'm shooting a wedding. Sometimes I cry. Like it's really awesome to be a part of that big emotional moment. It really is. But it's also the most tiring, exhausting
Mhm.
thing you can do. But I will say, if I do a whole day of mini sessions, I'm the same level of tired. I'm the same level of
Mhm.
emotionally tired. So it's less about it being a wedding, and I think it's more about just me being 35 and on my feet for 10 to 12 hours on a concrete slab
Mhm.
and, lifting and moving all my equipment all day. It's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I need a whole day to recover now. So it's,
Eh,
it's not something I feel like I could find my most success in, and I feel
yeah,
like I'd be the happiest in. So
yeah,
I started stepping away from weddings for that reason. And the wedding business is kind of finicky too. The wedding business is kind of clicky, kind of finicky. And I'm one of those people that shows up like I am. So, you may not fit the wedding mold that certain
okay.
cities may have, and it's different city to city as well. So for me, my focus wasn't on trying to get published in wedding magazines. My focus wasn't on trying to get, shouted out by the biggest new vendor. That wasn't my priority. So I kind of started realizing, like, is this really where my most joy is?
Mhm.
It's definitely where joy is, but where is it my most joy? So now I'm comfortable. I shoot like one wedding a month. I love elopements. I do elopements. I have two at the end of this month. I can't wait for. And I can have those big moments for couples without it being, feeling like too much.
So you go with them to wherever they're eloping?
Yes.
Oh, and where have we been lately on elopements?
So I'm going to Georgia on the 31st, a mountain in Georgia. I can't wait. I can't
Mhm.
wait. I've been to Aruba and
Oh,
a cruise.
oh. I hope they
Yes,
pay your way.
they do.
Nice. Yeah, so all the weddings we go to, we see the photographer, we're not aware of you or not looking for you, but we see you.
Yes.
But what we don't know is the hours of editing the 1.5 million pictures you take.
Yeah. And I don't think, I mean, I know people realize it, but I don't think they like
No,
truly realize it. Like if
we
you
don't.
figure I'm shooting a wedding with two cameras. So I
Mhm,
have two cameras. And then my second shooter will have one camera.
mhm,
So that's three memory cards of 10 to 12 hours of coverage. The most I think my second shooter and I have combined before, I think we hit over 10,000 raw
ooh,
images before combined. So I have to call through
mhm,
all of those images, choose the best ones, organize them, edit them, make sure they're cohesive. It's a lot.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
lot.
and that probably makes people, "I don't wanna do weddings anymore," so I totally get that. So as you evolved and even before you went full-time, as you've evolved the business, how have you figured out and started kind of prioritizing who your ideal and favorite types of shoots and clients are?
So well, the funny thing is like my dream job was to be a veterinarian,
Mhm.
and that was my dream. And I convinced myself I wasn't smart enough to do that in high school. So if young people are listening, don't do that to yourself because that was garbage. But anyway, um, I then, I when I hit my teaching route, I really did enjoy working with teenagers. I found joy watching their perspectives change. I found joy watching their leadership and motivation and their confidence grow. Um, and it wasn't necessarily about science. It was just about anything, like a conversation with a student. If you can give them any type of perspective to help them, it's a really powerful feeling. So I started doing senior and teenager portraits because I loved that so much and because they were in front of me all the time. It
Mm,
was easy access for me to get those clients. But I really did love it. And my favorite clients are the ones that show up and they're like, I'm not as pretty as she is. I don't take good photos. I don't have, like I don't play a sport. There's nothing for me to take pictures of. All of that is complete hot garbage. It's complete. It's not true, not even a little bit. So I love talking to those teenagers and being like,
mm,
okay, so you don't play soccer. Who cares? What do you do that makes you you? And I find my bookworms, I find
mm,
my, uh, record listeners, vinyl records are huge. I find my sneakerheads, I find people, who resonate with their faith super strong. I find crocheters, I find wakeboarders, I find bowlers, I find all these really cool people, and I try to capture them in that moment, who they are, and we make it fun, and we make it about them. So you allow them to see this as an experience, to see themselves with more
mm.
confidence.
It's
And I just
yeah.
love it. I eat it up. It energizes me in a way I can't explain. And animals. And
Yep.
not any and I never thought I could do it. I just convinced myself younger, like, when can you take pictures of animals? That's like not a thing. That's weird. And it was like 2 years ago. I was like, why is it weird? I really want to photograph animals. I love animals. So I started that part of my business really freshly, like really new. But I would love to scale and grow into that. Like my dream job is to get like a headshot session at the zoo.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
All
Yeah, if
right.
anyone knows the zoo, anybody at the zoo.
I like that.
Yeah.
And when I was doing training at your chapter last week, we all agreed that the minute you put a picture of a dog on a big screen, the whole room goes, "Oh!"
Yep.
No matter what people are talking
Absolutely.
about, there's like, "Oh!" Everybody stops and goes, "Oh!" So, all right. So let's go back to your college days since you brought that up. I got it on my list here. I hope I get this right. Juniata,
Almost Juniata. That was
Juniata.
good.
Okay, college. You were. This was your undergrad because you did your grad work at George Washington.
I did.
Which is where all the debt came from, I understand, right? Okay.
Well, both schools really.
True, yeah.
Juniata was liberal arts, yeah.
So you were a resident assistant, you were a soccer star, my word, okay? And you were a library assistant. I love that. When I found that on the bio, I was like, "Okay." So you enroll there as a freshman. What's the plan? What's the life plan?
Doctor.
Oh, okay.
I was pre-med biology.
Mhm.
I graduated pre-med biology. A lot of my friends are doctors and dentists now, which is pretty cool. Like,
Yep.
and one's even a really successful surgeon in Pennsylvania now, which is mind-blowing to think about. But, yeah, I was gonna be a doctor. I was lucky enough to do well in school. I enjoyed school. I loved science. Um, and that was always the plan. There was never a plan B. It was I was going to be a doctor. I assumed I was going to be an anesthesiologist because I wanted to be in the OR, but I knew I didn't have steady enough hands to be the one cutting.
Mhm.
So I
Fair.
wanted to find a way into the OR. I shadowed my mom's a physical therapist, my uncle's emergency ER trauma doctor, and my aunt's a nurse. My grandma's a nurse. Like that side of the
Mhm.
family is very medical, so I had access to hospital observations, um, and I loved the OR. So I was sold. I played. I was going to try to play soccer if I could, but soccer was always going to be a awesome bonus because
Mhm.
I knew if I was gonna be pre-med, that was the focus, was the schooling. So when I was searching for schools, I was searching for, programs that would push me the way I needed to be pushed and help me grow, and soccer was always just that, like, "Well, if I could play there, that would be an awesome, bonus," and it was. I found a
Mhm.
D3 school that was super small. Every professor knew my name, which is what I needed. Um, I bawled my eyes out when I graduated from that place. I did not wanna leave. Oh my god, my happy place.
Yep.
I met my husband there. He played soccer as well. So, like, it's a really tight-knit community.
And I believe so I think you're episode number, like, 255 for this show, and you are the first graduate of Juniata of
Yes.
Juniata College, so glad to check that box off the list of schools I'd never heard of and do a little intel on it, so I like that. When did the doctor plan go away?
My senior year of college.
Undergrad?
So yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So when I was, because that's when they start pressuring you, take MCATs,
Oh, yep.
start thinking about, what medical schools you wanna apply to, and, I really started truly thinking about, like, is this what I want my life to be? So the beauty of the college I went to, because it was so small, I was able, I was an RA, I was a tutor, I was a photography intern, I did all these things and played soccer and studied biology. I had time for my friends. I was able to have hobbies
Mhm.
and have a life and still do my studies. And you start having the real conversation with yourself, like, okay, if I go to medical school and I go and I become a doctor, what's my life look like? Does it look like this or
Mhm.
does it look like my job?
Yep.
And I knew I was a workaholic then. So going into a hospital, I knew for a fact that hospital was gonna become my life. That was
Yeah.
it. I was gonna eat, breathe, and sleep doctor. And I didn't know if I wanted that. And that's when I started having second thoughts, like, maybe doctor isn't the route, but I still loved science. So, like, the real conversation that someone needed to have with me and no one did was the PA route.
Oh, okay.
That was like a new-ish thing, and everyone, I'm a millennial, so they pushed us to spend as much money as we could in school, and
Yeah.
you had to have a million different degrees, and that was the push for us. So no one spoke to me about potentially a supplementary program like a PA program. And if they would have, I probably would have gone that route, which
Okay.
is an interesting kind of
Mhm,
mindset to have because that would have completely changed the
mhm.
trajectory of where I am now. But well, maybe I say that and maybe not, who
I
knows? But
I agree with
yeah,
you on that. You probably would have been somewhere different because you would have had to done, I guess at that level, whatever they called the residency, and your move.
yes,
Oh, all of a sudden, oh, you got a great offer from Phoenix. Like,
yeah,
oh, do I want to go? Yeah. So I'm with you. I'm with you on that. So I think you're right. Through college, were you taking pictures for friends?
was. Yeah. My sophomore year, my parents bought me a small DSLR, like
Mhm.
crop sensor camera, and the Nikon D5000. I'll never forget it. A little itty bitty thing. And I went crazy. I annoyed my teammates, I annoyed my friends, I annoyed, um, you know, my boyfriend Luke at the time. Oh my God, but Luke actually is artistic too, so we kind of did some fun projects with it. But yeah, I shot everything and anything that I could. I actually sustained an injury in college taking action shots of the boys soccer team. They actually had to put me at gurney and put me in the hospital. I broke a back rib watching a soccer game. It's a really funny story, but um yeah, I saved my camera. My priority was to save my camera and not my arm. So I started shooting. It was that January. We got back to campus with my new camera. I went crazy.
And so, real quick on the boys soccer injury, I'm assuming you didn't see the play coming your way, right?
I had a so my father-in-law now, at the time, he obviously was just my boyfriend's dad. He had an old lens that he never used anymore, and he just gave it to me, which is
Oh,
like, now that I look back on it, like insanely sweet. I started my business on that lens, but it's a really long telephoto lens. And I was sitting against raised bleachers, the bleachers that
mhm.
are up and they have like the metal posts that go across. So I was posted up with my team. My whole team was there. The girls soccer team was there. We were all watching. And I'm taking pictures and the guy is so close to me, I can't focus on him. So I was like, so I brought my camera down just in time to watch my husband's roommate foul this guy out of the air, pushed him when they went up to win a throw in. And this boy's head hit me right here and pushed me
Oh,
up and over the raised bleachers. And I
oh.
only had time to react. I literally took my camera and I did this and I pushed it out. Um, so yeah, I broke a back rib. I couldn't play in two of my games after that. It was very traumatic. My team, well, not traumatic, dramatic. My team made fun of me.
Mhm.
They put
Yeah.
a little sign up, like in memory of Amy. Yeah, everyone thought I died. The dean showed up at the hospital. I was like, "Oh my god,
Wow.
I am okay."
Wow, good story. All right, so let's get to Luke then. One of my favorite parts of the show when I have a married guest on is I always ask them, so how and where did you and Luke meet? And do you both tell the story the same way?
Kinda.
Kind of. I like that.
So,
Now, real quick,
we
most of the
had
men think, oh, yeah, we both tell it the same way. And most of the women go, not quite. So,
no,
yes.
he would agree with me though. He would not tell. Um, we had 2 classes together and we played soccer. So on a really small campus. Like
Mhm.
this is a class of 230. So really,
Oh,
really small.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. And our dorm buildings were right next to each other.
Mhm.
So, and he was on the bottom floor of this one, and I was on the bottom floor of this one. So you had easy access to each other. Sorry, I was on the third floor, but we were on the same side. Anyway, um, we had a class called College Writing Seminar together.
Mhm.
And I am well, you saw even when you taught us at BNI, I'm in the front of the room.
Mhm.
More than likely, I'm in the front of the room. I'm asking questions. I'm trying to get as much out of the conversation as possible. My husband is in the back of the room with his hood up and like trying to avoid any and all interaction. And so, and he's a brilliant, he's way smarter than me, which is the most frustrating thing because I worked so hard for my grades and he'd be like, meh. But we had organic chemistry together. He was a chem and math education major. Um, and our school didn't have baby chem. They threw you straight into organic chemistry. They didn't mess around.
Oh.
So we had organic chemistry, college writing seminar, and soccer together. I thought he was the too good for everyone else hipster in the back of the room who, didn't need anything. And he thought I was the brown nosing cheerleader in the front of the room. And um, my opinion of him changed later. His opinion of me changed way faster. He didn't realize I was on the soccer team. And he came to one of the games and saw me play. And then apparently that changed his mindset on me completely. And mine changed while after that. He had to work harder for me. But we had a lot of similar friends too, which helped. So
Yeah.
we put us in the same vicinity a
Yep.
bunch of times. But
So when did he finally ask you out, or did you ask him out?
he asked me out, kind of. I mean, in Luke way, I
Mm.
guess. We went on a walk outside the dorm together, probably October of our freshman year. So it took him 3 months.
And then where
Yeah,
was the first official date?
oh gosh, we were both so poor. It probably would have been on my dime because he didn't have jobs. I was the one with jobs. We probably went to, oh gosh, Haas's. You probably don't even know what that is.
Nope.
So Haas's is a restaurant in Pennsylvania. It's like a oh gosh, what would it be similar to down here? Kinda like a Denny's.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Uh,
would be
eh,
yeah,
where it's cheap and you can get in and out for, yeah, okay.
or a
Uh,
movie date in one of our
there you
dorm
go.
rooms.
I like
Yeah.
that. So when did you know that this had potential?
Oh, not until our junior, senior year. Yeah, no, it was not serious. It was a mess. Um, but I remember it was honestly probably our second semester junior year when I started talking about like what I was gonna do next, where I
Yeah.
was gonna go. And he was like, "Well, I'll just go wherever you go." And
Oh,
I was
good
like,
answer.
"What?"
Good
Yeah, because he was the
answer.
teacher. He's like,
Yeah.
"I can get a job anywhere." He's like, "Wherever you go, I can go."
I just want to be there. Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, "What?" And that was like our first ever like, "Oh, oh, okay."
I wasn't asking for that answer, honey, but thank you for that answer.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, he always surprised me. He was always the one that surprised me. He
Okay.
was very quiet, so knowing how he felt about things
Mm.
uh, wasn't always the case. And then um, it's not the case anymore, obviously, but yeah,
Okay.
it was back then.
Well, good. All right. So another thing that you do, a couple things you do, folks, for if you are trying to grow a business, sometimes you have to create things to tell people you need to hire me. So one of the things, I believe you're still doing it, you run a women's business group.
I call yeah, kinda,
Okay.
kinda.
But what made you do that, and what results have you seen out of that for not just you, but others that are part of that?
So I do really well when I bounce ideas off other people.
Yep.
If I'm able to ask them about something and they give feedback,
Mm,
I get so much out of that because
mm,
then you can use that for inspiration. You can use that
mm.
for um, any type of building block. And a lot of the networking groups I'm in, they're great, but they don't really allow a lot of time for idea building or collaboration ideas other than creating meetings outside of that meeting.
Yep.
So I wanted to create an atmosphere where women could just come into my studio and all we did was bounce ideas off each other. There was no agenda, we just helped each other in our businesses. and I called it Clayton Boss Babes. I have taken a break from it this year. I do plan on starting it up though. I've had a few of them reach back out to me like, "Hey," I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, okay." So we do it once a month in my studio, and it's all it is just work time essentially. It's just
Mm.
women getting together of all different types of businesses and just going, "Hey, I want to do this. What do you think about it?
Yep.
How should I advertise it? When should I advertise it?" Or, "Hey, I don't know how to set up my Google profile page. Can someone help me?"
Yep.
And then it turns into like us helping her, turns into us all updating ours, which we probably haven't done in a hot
Mhm.
minute anyway. And it's just really productive work time.
Yeah, and if you're in a good group, there's always somebody that's where you wanna be,
Exactly.
and if they are a giver, then they will certainly answer questions for you because likely someone else did that for them.
Yeah. And
Yes.
we made it that a rule that we're not allowed to gatekeep.
Yep, good. So then what got you introduced to BNI?
I actually got introduced years ago. I went to one in Clayton um, when I was still teaching. And I just went, I had like one of those days off and
Mhm,
I was, and my Luke brought it up. He was like, "Hey, you should go to this." And I was
good.
like, "Okay." So I went to it, not knowing anything, nothing. And the whole time I was just like really out of my comfort zone. I was really, and not with speaking, like I could talk. It was just that type of environment I hadn't seen. I had only seen the classroom and I
Mhm,
had only seen wedding networking groups. I had never seen a truly like business to business sit down, let's talk about each other's businesses. Um, I enjoyed my time there. It was a visitor's day, so it was even more a little
mhm.
overwhelming. It was just a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it was good. I did the Clayton one because everyone was my neighbors,
Mhm.
essentially. So I walked away really happy with it, but I couldn't join because I was teaching.
Yep.
So I had no intention of joining. When I went full time, I took that first year and I only joined one other group, and it wasn't a BNI group. It was a smaller, and I was like, "This is good. This is all I need." And then I met Caitlin at actually an event at Deep River Brewing. Caitlin with Honor Roofing,
Mhm.
and she came up to me and said, "Hey, are you in a BNI?" I was like, "No, I visited one, I didn't have the time. I don't know if I have the time now." And she was like, "Please come visit us." So we had talked during that event and kind of were vibing off each
Mhm.
other and got along really well. So that's probably the number one reason why I drove out there to
Mhm.
check it out.
Okay. And Caitlin is
Um,
a friend of the show. She was on a while back, an author, and part of her and her husband own Honor Roofing. So if you ever need a good roofer,
Absolutely.
folks, Honour, Honor Roofing. But that's
Yes,
how it works. The good news is you were exposed to it a little bit, so you kind of knew what it was, and you are at that point in time wasn't a huge risk to go to another meeting, but you were open to an idea.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And um, anything to help scale and meet
Yep.
people and become known in the in the population. And I on purpose drive 35 minutes for my meeting
Mhm.
because I want to be more well known in that area of Raleigh. So like that's a purposeful drive for me.
Yep. Good. I'm glad you do that. So another thing I wanted to ask you about, and folks, we're all learning about this at the same time. So I'm curious. So if you go, Amy, if you'll give us your website, please, the
Oh,
name of your website.
yes. www.amesue, AIMEESUE photography.com.
Pretty simple, folks. Amy Sue Photography. My guess is even if they spelled it AMYSUE, it would still get to you. At least
There
a
would be a search. It wouldn't go straight to me, but
right,
it would
but
show
it would
you.
pop up.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you have a senior and junior ambassador program. I read a
yes.
little bit about it, totally get it, but I want you to explain it and how that got started because I think it is a wonderful way of recruiting salespeople to help you grow your business.
Yes. So that's why it started.
Hmm.
It started as a fully just, if I'm going to do this, what's a great way to get my word out without having to spend money on marketing? And it was my ambassadors.
Hmm.
So they are my models. What they do is they work with me for the whole entire year. And the program has evolved in insane ways. Every year I get to put my teacher hat on and think about ways to make the program better. And what I do is I take uh, rising seniors anywhere in the area, as long as they're willing to, drive to the locations. And they have about 1 to 3 photo shoots a month with me. And they also do a college prep class with me. They do a happy mindset training with me. I help them with their interviews and resume building and kind of getting into, the next stage of life. But they also market me the whole entire year. So I use them for my promo photos for every shoot that I do, but they also talk to me to their classmates the
Mhm.
whole entire year, and I give them a cherry too. So, like, say they get someone from their school to take their senior pictures with me, they get a month marked free from their program fees, and the person that booked them also gets a discount if they use their name.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's an excellent way to give them, you know, an
Mhm.
ability to market like, "Hey, this is everyone else's price. When you say my name, this is your price."
Mhm. Now,
And yeah.
yep. So what a number of things I like about this, but short of them getting 1 month free or 6 months free, however many kids they send to you, which is wonderful. How have you, as mentoring high school kids, how have you seen them develop just in
Oh,
interviewing and photos and all that?
it's the coolest. That's one of the coolest, and the hearing the feedback from their moms
Mhm.
is also one of the coolest things. Like, their first photo shoot with me, they're like, "Uh, like, I don't does it look okay? Do I look okay?" And I'm like, "Stop fussing, like, smile, you look gorgeous." And, um, till the end of the year, when I'm not even prompting them, they're over there like, "Yes, here, here, here." Like, and they know how good they look. They know what the photos are gonna look like. They yeah, it's unbelievable, and I force a lot of perspective building on them, so I force them to kind of speak to other people. I give them leadership opportunities,
Mhm.
like, um, the one model was like, "I wanna shoot at this location." I went, "Okay, you're gonna call them on Monday before 5 o'clock, and you're gonna ask them about it." And they're like, "I'm gonna call
Well,
them?" I was like,
mhm.
"You're gonna call them." And they're like, "But" I'm like, I'm easy to say no to, you're not.
Oh, good.
And this is good practice for you anyway."
Mhm.
And so force like even just a phone call and then especially when the college time rolls around, when they're like, "Okay, I'm up for a scholarship."
Mhm.
They want to have an interview. And I'm like, "Okay, we're going to schedule one." And I make it like as real as possible. Like they get on my calendar,
Mhm.
I call them, they have to answer, and then I go through the whole thing with them and then afterwards I'm like, "Okay, you didn't read their website before you talked to me." They're like, "What?"
Oh,
And I'm like,
good.
"You didn't know their mission statement? You didn't know why the scholarship even exists?
Mm.
You didn't know." I was like, "They are not going to give you money if you didn't show them you didn't do the work." So, like, little things like that, watching them grow in their email writing, watching them grow and even their caption writing on social media, like, it's really cool to kinda see them leave high school as more adult. Like,
Did you have any idea this program would have the impact it has on your business?
no, not at all. Not even a little bit.
And does it continue to grow?
Yes. This year, I do have a smaller team this year, but that's okay. We're still
Mm.
working on growing a little bit more before June ends. But I have more of a reach. Like I'm
Mm.
reaching into Wayne County, I'm reaching into Harnett County, I'm reaching into Wake County. So like that's what I want. I want this to be a program that's available for anybody in the Triangle area. And
Mm.
I also want people to know this is a program that isn't for models. A lot of people don't apply. They're like, "I'm not a model." And I'm like, "I know you're my ideal client."
Yep.
Like, that's not what this is. This isn't a modeling training program. This isn't a modeling agency. I'm not sending 8 by 10s off for you guys to get runway
Mm.
jobs. Like, that's not what this is. It's a unique way to experience your senior year with, like, hands-on experiences, photo shoots, new friends, and, free education.
I like that a lot. That's first I've ever heard of something like this. I think you're ahead of the time on that. But I know, again, I know you this much right now, but I bet the payoff for you is way more than the money you make from them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, I the amount of photos they get, the amount of work I do for them, I'm
Okay.
not really making.
Mm, no, but it
No.
feeds your soul to help them and watch them evolve.
Mhm.
Nice. I like that. All right, so real quick before we go, folks, we've been putting Amy's phone number on the screen here. You need there's some things you need to pay for. Mainly, you need a professional, and a really good picture is somebody you need to hire a you need to hire a professional for. So please reach out to Amy. It's amysuephotography.com. We've been putting her number up. So if we've got a couple people listening that are thinking about starting a photography business right now, like you, it's a side hustle. It's more of a side hustle because there's like a side hustle, then a passion, then a business. Kind of how I look
Yes.
at the arc of that. Okay. So they're in the passion phase of, I would love to do this full time, but I'm not making the money yet and I can't afford to quit my rent paying job. What are one or two things, three things they need to get into place to evolve to that time where they do match their money and they can quit?
They need a CRM. They
Which
need a
is what?
client relations management program. They need a software that allows them to have legal contracts, invoices. Stop taking money via Venmo. Stop doing that. You need to have a professional route. You need to have a G Suite, a real email with a real website. Dedicate the time and effort to do that upfront. It will feed your business for a long time. And then updating it becomes easy. But people, when they are looking professionals, you have to be professional.
Mm.
You have to have, the website, you have to have the domain, you have to have a correct email address. And when people are searching, they want to see reviews. Work really hard to get reviews from your clients. Even if you have to annoy them a little. Keep sending that email with the link. Make it easy for them. Like, fill out this link. It puts a review on my Google page. And I tell my clients the best gift you can give me after a session is a Google review. There is nothing better for my business. Uh, you would not believe the amount of business I've been able to generate purely based off my Google
Mhm.
reviews. Another thing, let me think. Where's that three? Did I already give
How about
three?
equipment? When do you start spending?
Yeah. Well, I'm bad. I'm a gearhead. I love equipment. Um, I would say photography specific, you need to have a camera that has dual slots. So where you can put two memory cards in, especially if you're shooting weddings. That is a non-negotiable. You should never be shooting a wedding without a camera with dual memory cards. Because if you have a memory card go bad and you don't have a backup, you're in big trouble.
Oh,
So you need to have at least one camera, full sensor camera. I would go mirrorless. Any brand name's going to do you good. It doesn't matter. Sony, Canon, Nikon, that doesn't matter. It's full sensor, mirrorless, dual memory card. And
wow.
don't be afraid of flash. Learn flash. Take a class when you save money. Take a mentorship when you save money. Learn from someone who you love to watch. Go get a mentorship. Go take a conference class. Go to a national workshop. You would not believe the value in education. It is worth every penny.
All right, folks, here's why we like bringing professionals on the show because two of the three answers Amy just gave, I did not have on my bingo card. But the CRM part is legit because if you want to be perceived as a professional, you better treat yourself as if you are a professional. Your Facebook page is not a website. Please, please
Nope.
don't do that, right, Amy? It because people are going to go, oh, it's not a real business, it's a hobby. And generally, people don't hire hobbyists for professional work. So love
Yep.
that. And the cameras, which I don't know much about cameras. I didn't know there were dual slots available on cameras. So But that's why you call people like Aimee, folks. We've been putting her number up there, so please do that. Aimee, wonderful tips, stories. Thank you for being on the show. I hope the rest of 2025 goes well for you, and you can buy even more toys to play with.
I hope so.
We've enjoyed having you on the show. And, folks, we'll see you next time on Capital to the Coast BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.